Mark Hoban's with me, board member of the City UK. And Mark, not only that, you were out in Brussels leading a delegation to see Brussels bureaucrats et al. To talk financial services. What did you get out of them? What is the mood that you sensed?
So we were in Brussels as part of a regular series of trips to talk about what the relationship might look like between the UK and the EU27 once we leave the EU. And we want to minimise the disruption caused to European businesses and households by losing access to the sort of services that are concentrated here in the city. So we wanted to make that message. We want a strong, open relationship with the EU once we leave that is, as Michel Barnier said, outside the single market. But we want to have high levels of access.
So that's your pitch, is it? Is that European households will be really upset if they don't have access to London's financial markets? Because lots of people will say that's nonsense. They go to Frankfurt or Paris or anywhere else.
No, but this is a huge concentration here in the city of banks, insurers, asset managers, lawyers, accountants. Businesses from across Europe come here to do business because they know they get a good deal. They know there's a good return for their shareholders and their customers. They know that they will invest their assets in a wide range of opportunities across here in the city. And we would say that actually there'll be a cost to them if we leave the EU and they have no access to the services here in London. And so that's the deal we're asking for, to ensure that there's continued access.
What is the deal that you're asking for?
We're saying that there should be recognition of the regulatory systems on either side of the channel that will then enable businesses based in here in London, across the UK, to trade with businesses in the other side.
This is equivalence, isn't it? Roughly speaking.
No, we're getting into real technical detail.
I know. But
this is not equivalence, because equivalence is a very narrow definition that enables certain types of business to be transacted with the EU. And it actually is, you'd end up with the UK being a rule taker, not a rule maker. It's not a great basis on which you can do business in the future. So we're saying actually...
So you want a one-off deal. You want a specific deal for Britain, which is great, but I put it to you that the EU... What do they get out of that? Well, other than this idea of access to our markets?
But this is not just about financial services. What we're arguing for, and what the government has asked for, is a comprehensive, broad and deep free trade agreement with Brussels and with the EU27 that doesn't just cover financial services, but it covers a whole range of goods and services that we supply to Europe and they supply to us. And I think that is the best way for both the EU27 and the UK to prosper once we leave the European Union.
Now, I've seen an awfully wide range of predictions about how many jobs are at stake here. I saw one report says it's 20,000 financial services jobs at stake because of Brexit, and another that said 300,000. What's your thought?
Well, I'm not going to get in predictions about the numbers of jobs leaving. I think that what you're seeing now is individual firms working through what their options are. And I think the sentiment, and it comes out in our report, is that they want to move as few jobs as possible and keep the vast bulk of their operations here in London. I think that's a sensible thing to do because you don't want the additional costs of having to run two sets of businesses separated by a narrow stretch of water.
So are you saying that if not that many jobs will go, then all these predictions of 80,000 jobs or 200,000 jobs were scarce?
No, I'm just saying there's a wide range and we don't know what the impact is going to be. And that's why I'm not going to predict a number, because we're at the early stages of this and much will depend on the deal that is struck between the UK and the EU27.
Talking of which, as you will know, a lot of people in the city want some kind of transitional period. They simply don't believe a deal can be done within the time frame. Is that what you're pushing for?
Yes, and the City UK is part of its asks around Brexit. There are three. One is about this mutual access to continue the high level of service. One is about access to talent. And the third is a transitional deal. And I think it's important for businesses to ensure that there is a transitional deal agreed early on, so we don't have a cliff edge effect. That cliff edge will affect both sides of this. So actually a transition is a good thing, and we should try to agree it early enough so that it gives business some certainty and some time to plan.
The CBI has said today the UK should stay in the single market until a final Brexit deal has been done. Is that a realistic demand, or is that a case of having our cake and eating?
Well, I think there are two aspects to this. The first is, so what happens between the date at which we leave and the signing of the new agreement? And I think the government said that they'd like the two to happen at the same time. But if they don't happen at the same time, then a standstill might work. But the other aspect is once we know what the final relationship looks like, there will be a period of adjustment needed so that people can respond to that and structure their operations accordingly. But, I think that Brexit is only part of the challenge that the city faces, and that's really what our report was about today, although it was catalysed by Brexit. It's pointing to much wider trends in financial services that we need to respond to. And if we do respond to them, if we do change, then actually the sector will continue to generate wealth, not just here in London, but across the whole of the UK.
Really interesting. Thank you very much. There's Mark Hoban there, board member of the City UK, and that big, wide-ranging report is all on the web. You can have a read of that.